Hey everybody, this is Tony.
And this is Paul, and we're coming at you from the Friends for Life podcast, where we discuss the ongoing lives and issues of people with developmental disabilities to spark positive change in the field.
And we have a lot of fun doing it.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Friends for Life podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. Today we have a surprise drop-in guest, Mr. John Silfies. He's in here recording something for Tony, or for the board of Tony Talking. And then we're like, hey, let's hang out and do a podcast. So John, welcome to the studio, man.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So what brings you into town today? You know, I know you guys just filmed something, but what was the purpose of that?
Yeah, so I have a media company designed specifically for the developmental disability field. Lucas County is one of my customers, and so the goal of the video for today was really to talk about the teamwork and network that it takes to really change lives in our field, and that it takes county boards, it takes provider agencies, it takes all of us to be able to do that. And so from a provider's perspective, just asking Tony to talk about his relationship with the board and how that all works together.
Yeah, and you know, Tony does a lot of work with the board. He's in a lot of meetings all the time with that community, so that's great. But so we were talking a little bit before we got started here. You kind of took this leap and you started your own media company based in the DD field. Yeah. What was the jumping off point where you're like, I think I can make this a reality? Because like someone like me, you know, we all everybody that does video for a living wants to like make their own thing, but it's not as easy. Like just because you own a camera doesn't mean that it's just a simple thing you can do. So how did it come about? Like what was the spark for all of that?
Yeah, so really I think it's been like a 10-year process from when I became a DSP and like fell in love with this field. I've been shooting videos since like 8th grade on like the VHS camera over my shoulder, you know? Old school. So it's always just been a part of my life. Even as a DSP, I'd bring my camera in and we'd shoot videos and stuff like that. So over the last 10 years, I've been able to work as a DSP, I've been able to work as a marketing professional for provider agency. I've worked for WestCon, so I got the county board side. And so over the pandemic, I knew that I wanted to make a difference for the whole state of Ohio. I wanted to just lift, and kind of what we were speaking of before of like, you know, the stories that we have in this field are incredible, and they deserve to have their story told just like every other industry that has those giant budgets. And so that was really the launching point of like, I just want to tell as many stories as possible across the state. And so I quit my government job to go start my own business and do that. So
That's awesome. And, you know, it takes a lot of courage to do that leap of faith, as like someone like Tony knows that you sometimes you got to jump off that cliff, and it's working out well. So, you know, what's some of your favorite stories that you've heard? Yeah. Because when you're a videographer, you get to ask unique questions when you're making kind of the stuff you make. You get to hear stories that maybe you don't hear every day. So what's some of your favorite stories?
Yeah. I'll go generic first of like just being able to be in the homes and talk to DSPs and just say like, why do you do what you do? Why do you keep coming back every day? And like the general thread is this incredible passion that they have for what they do. Like they're coming to work and like, it's a hard job. Like they're there for long hours. They're doing a lot of work. Like it's not a glamorous job sometimes. But every DSP that I've talked to has been, their heart is huge. And just hearing that over and over again, like, you know, I've worked in an office for the last like 6.5 years, and like to be able to be in the home and hear them from their own mouths, like over and over every single week, I get to hear another DSP say why they do what they do, has just been incredible, even for my own heart of like this is incredible. There are some amazing people in this field. You know, stories of people who, you know, they lived with their parents, individuals who have lived with their parents and have always wanted to have a place to live. And, but they were scared to find their own home. And then the right DSP came in, they instilled that confidence in that person's life. And now they're able to live in their own house and are like doing an incredible, now they're looking for a job. And, you know, like those sorts of things that we take for granted are like life-changing things happening every single day in this field. And I've just had like a front row seat to that, and it's been awesome.
I bet, in 4K as well.
That's right, yeah. I see it crystal clear. Yeah.
We have some individuals that we service, and one of these gentlemen in particular, he loves the nature scenes. He loves to take pictures. He is really involved, and he's going to be actually working with Paul very soon on honing in on those skills. Do you see a lot of that as you're developing these stories and going through? Like, are you noticing people having these gifts and talents that aren't not even just showcased, but aren't even really? I guess I can't figure out the word I'm looking for, but it's kind of like, you know that they have it, but you don't know how to get to encourage them.
Yes, right. Yeah. So there's been a couple things. One, in Montgomery County, for the Montgomery County Board of DD, we're using, one of the individuals always wanted to be like a voiceover artist. And so she sent a tape of her doing a recording. I was like, this sounds great. So we're using her voice as all of the ending screens for all of the Montgomery County Board videos, which is incredible. Another guy wants to be a DJ at one of the provider agencies. And so he's getting connected with a local DJ and is going to go to weddings with them to like learn the skills. Like I would love to be able to find a role, like finding that right person who has that skill set or passion that would love to be in the media field. Like I would love to have somebody with a disability be a part of my team. And a DSP. I just connected with a DSP at the OACB conference.
Nice.
And he has a bachelor's degree in communications. And in order to have like, if I could have my company have a spokesperson who is a DSP, who is like actually doing the work every day, like that would be incredible. I'm always looking for those kind of connections and things like that. But yeah.
Awesome. And so one thing that Tony and I really talk about a lot, and we're trying to get more people in this field because, like, let's face it, a lot of the mindset of this field that I've seen as a third party coming in, completely fresh, new eyes, is they're living in the past, man. Like, like social media landscape is changing so drastically. There's more than just Facebook now. There's all these different media outlets, and we see a lot of them. I don't want to sound mean, but they post like one YouTube video a year, and they're like, "All right, we paid $10,000 for this video, and it's good." And it's like the landscape now is like we put out an hour-long video every week, and it's still hard to gain traction. But for visibility nowadays, social media is a tool, and I think people, from my perspective, people need to stop seeing it as like a place their kids play and a place where people get information.
Yes.
So this field, I feel like, needs to do that, and people like you and me and Tony realize that, and we're trying to help these companies. So like, why is it important from someone who literally makes a career off of telling stories about DSPs in the DD field? Why is this important to people listening to the podcast? Like, why should they invest a little bit of time each week into social media?
Yeah, I mean, a couple things that I'll say to that. One is like, when I started my business, I'm almost against doing those one and done videos or like an agency video for any of my customers. If you're a customer of Silfies Media, I want a relationship with you. I want 6 months, 12 months longer where I can actually learn you and learn your demographics, learn your people, learn what works and doesn't work, and be able to create content regularly every single month that's going out. If you hire me and you pay me $10,000 to create an agency video, I feel like I'm ripping you off. Like you're not going to get anything from that. Like I could come to you and say, yeah, that's what you should do. But ethically I can't do, so I'm not going to do that for you. So what I want is those consistent, regular, every single month we're putting out new content. The other side of that is everyone else on social media, every other industry is active. They're putting money towards it. They're putting ads on social media. Like, why not like stand up for our own industry and do that? Like, we're just going to get drowned out. No one knows we exist because we're not telling them that we exist in the ways that the rest of the world is telling them that they exist. And so I am constantly trying to educate on that consistency. Part of I don't just shoot the video, but I write all of the social media ad copy for them. I give them the schedule of how to use the content that we created. So they just copy, paste, and use it in the best way possible. Because I want my product to get the most out of it too. Like it helps me if my product's out there. So, but yeah, that consistency is crucial to that.
And and it's interesting because anybody that I give any knowledge, of this game, that's one of the things that I ask them. Like, what are you going to be known for in this field? And I think that we get complacent when you're an agency director or agency owner on just, okay, yeah, I'm just going to service people good. That can work, but it's not the way things are anymore.
Yep.
If you do that, like we don't do a lot of fluff stuff on our social media. It pretty much is just to advertise the podcast. But there are some places that, you're going to take a picture for Easter eggs. You're going to, and just all of those. But what are you doing? Where's the change?
Yes.
Do you think that we get too complacent in just, trying to show like, hey, you can come and have fun versus actually showing something of substance?
Yep. I was just having this conversation earlier this week so I'm in the social media world consistently all of the time. That's where I live. All of my content's on social media. And so like the part of that that I talk with provider agencies is almost going against social media and saying like, I can get you 10,000 likes on Facebook. What does that mean to you? Like, what are you doing with that? What does that number, how does that number change a single life for a person that you're serving? So why don't we go after something that matters? Those analytics do matter, and getting that awareness out is important. But how does that content move your needle forward at all? So I'm not in the business of like, just being able to give you a spreadsheet that says, hey, you got 20,000 likes on this image, because that means nothing if it did nothing for your company. If it brought nobody in, if nobody more is volunteering, if nobody is doing anything, then it's just a fake number that's in the internet. So like I'm all about, the content that we put out has to matter, and it has to be for a purpose, not just just random things that we're doing for a fake number that just says, hey, we got a lot of likes this week,
Yeah, and it's already a tough industry to get traction in because it's not glamorous. Like people that have disabilities aren't like what aren't Kim Kardashian, like they're not like public figures. And so it's hard to get these stories out there. But I think that the problem that we have is reaching people who aren't already in the field. Do you kind of see that too? Is like it's easy to get people in the field interested because they're already vested in this and even changing conversations around stuff that's already happening. But to reach people out of that circle is difficult.
Yeah. And one of the things that I've seen over doing this, and I anticipated a little bit, but not to the extent that I have seen, is that the process of shooting the video for that DSP is the win. Like if you can get DSPs excited about what they're doing and like that they feel valued and they're excited to work for the company that they work for, the word of mouth has always been the largest recruitment effort that we can do. So what I have found is like being able to shine a light on a DSP and let them tell their story. That's been the win because that gets them excited about what they're doing. Their friends or their coworkers see that and they're like, I want to do that too. Their parents for the first time are like, that's what you get to do every day, because you can't say it, you know, like, but when you can show it in a video, it's giving them that platform. And what I've seen is, it may not be the likes on Facebook or Instagram or wherever we're at, but the process of doing the video is the win, because that's going to grow that organic excitement and culture shift within your agency as well, which has been huge.
Yeah, and it's fun to get people excited about something that they're passionate about. I mean, every person that's come on the podcast has been just super passionate about everything they're doing. And this field, I feel like, is very passionate. Like a lot of the people in it are not here for the money. They're not here for, fame and glory and all this stuff. They're here to help people. And when you add that to the mixture, it could be the shyest person ever, but you get them in the microphone and they're like, I could do this and that and this and that. And it's really awesome to see. So you spent some time in the field. I don't know how connected you are to like the day-to-day stuff of like the field, but is there anything that you've noticed that you would like, hey, I think we kind of like really need to make some changes here? Because that's something that we're always talking about with, we have CEOs from every company in the 100-mile radius come through the door every week. So if not, that's totally fine. But is there any stuff that you're like, man, I'd really like to see this changed for people?
Yeah. I think the crisis, the DSP staffing crisis, it's there. And yes, more money would be incredible. I think coming into this and saying like, it's the reality of where we live today. And if we could live today on knowing that maybe this crisis may never go away, we may never get $1 billion from the government to come and save us. How do we live in the world today with the resources that we have? How do we make a difference in the life of the people that we're supporting today with who we have today? And how do we make the people and the DSPs that we have today the greatest that they can possibly be? And so that's a tough conversation to have. That's a tough thing to say out loud of like, hey, the cavalry may never be coming.
Yeah.
And so what do you do with that? You know, if one of the things that I always talk to, potential customers about and my customers is like, I can't fix your problems. Like, I'm not going to come in and say like, hey, you're going to be fully staffed if you follow these 3 steps and you let me do this video. Like, no, all I know is I can move it a little bit. I can do my part and it will make a difference. But the problem, the uppercase P problem is always going to be there for the foreseeable future. And so I think one of the things that I saw is just like, the agencies that are not living in the hope for this cavalry to come and save them, the ones that are saying, this is what we've got today, and I'm going to do the best that I can possibly do today. Those are the agencies that I've seen that are starting to really change the game in this field and make real differences in people's lives. Yeah,
and that's a harsh reality with a lot of things in the world. I mean, and, I read a lot and I study a lot of stuff, like, not philosophy or anything, but like, I really like to just kind of do like the stuff that makes you think, and like books that make you think like more appreciatively, because we've all grown up in this society that tells you like more is better, the more money you have, more. And then, at some point you stop and you're like, is it though? Like, I have a house full of crap and I don't use any of it.
Yes.
So I think there becomes a point, and in my mind, this is a realistic thing. This isn't fanciful, because we're not all going to be able to be wealthy. It's like physically impossible in the world for everyone to be wealthy, no matter how hard you try. You could be the hardest worker on earth, but I mean, there's only so much to go around. Like, that's just the way it is. And at some point you have to be like, I'm okay with what I do.
Yes.
And I think that's a mindset shift.
Yes.
And not so much like, of course, we'd all like to make more money. Everyone in this room, there's a huge disparity in what we all get paid every year in this room, probably. And it's like,
well, just in aspects to that, like, I think until you understand what money is to you, or what that value really lies, like, I think if you want money, get in the money game.
Yeah.
Become a money person.
Yeah.
And that means you might have to go on Wall Street, work with money. But if you're going to be pulling value, like from a wealth standpoint, what need do I need a private jet for?
Yes.
Like that is a complete want. I don't have a need to have to go all the way over to California other than to see a family member or something.
Yeah.
In regards to, my field of work. Now, we got an RV. The RV is for this podcast to go through county to county.
That's awesome. Yeah.
That was something that I'm glad that we had the finances to be able to do, so the wealth in that is going to be so much further, reachable to people than me if I just spent that just to ride a private jet for a weekend or something, It makes no sense to me when we are constantly pushing ourselves towards this fictitious piece of paper. Like that doesn't equate to what we really do. What we do is what other people can eat or feed off of, or get any value from. Yeah. Sorry, that was just kind of a little.
No, that's great. Yeah, my wife did say on the way here that I need to buy a helicopter. She did say that, not a private jet,
hold her to it,
but a helicopter that can get me across the state.
Yeah,
that'd be great.
That'd be a great.
Yeah.
Heck yeah, man, get that.
Yeah, right. Well, one of the things I was going to say is like every time that I interview a young DSP, like maybe someone who's fresh into being a DSP or like a younger person, that's always one of my questions. I say, the whole world is telling you, like, you need to go to this college, you have to get that degree, you have to live in this zip code, you need to find that husband, you need to do all these things. Like, you're chasing, the whole world's telling you to chase this thing. Why did you become a DSP? Like, what value are you getting out of this? And the answers that they come up with are incredible, of just like, it fulfills me more than, and I have friends that are going to college and like, they're ruining their lives at college right now. Or I've got, people who are chasing that great, huge job or that huge house, and they're actually in a ton of debt. And I get to do something every day that is literally fulfilling my life every day. And so that's always one of the questions I ask is like, the world's telling you not to do this thing. Why are you doing it?
It's funny that you say that because I even speak with the county board at schools, and sometimes we do it personally as well. But I've asked high school seniors, what is it that you expect to make, for your first, the numbers. These kids are telling me 60, 70, 80K. I'm like, whoa. I'm like, are you serious? I think I made $28,000 my first year out of high school. And like, I don't know if it's scary because there's not a lot of places other than, what are those factories that you can come up so young,
and start right out,
that you can make those kind of dollars, and
you don't need to go to school for those.
Nope.
No,
you gotta press a button.
So I think that our kids, they have a path that they're confused about going on, but I want more of them to try stuff like this, the humanity portion. So you can see, like, you don't have to make, 6 figures a year as a damn 18, 19-year-old, to actually prove that you are something. And if we do things the right way, we are just helping grow the community. Like, stay at home longer. Just help your mom or dad pay some of the damn bills.
Right. Yes. Do good.
Don't sit back being a whack Arnold's.
Yes. All right.
Well, go ahead.
No, I was going to say, one of my friends, he works at Cedarville, and he wrote this article about like the culture is saying like you have to do a job that you love. If you love what you do, you'll never work a day in your life. Yeah. And he's like, all these 18-year-olds are coming out of high school thinking, I need to find a job that I love or else I'm not doing anything. And he's saying, no, find a job you hate and then you'll know exactly what you don't want to do in life. And so you have to go through those phases of like trying different jobs to find out what you actually don't like, because you're too young really to know what you love to do. And so, it was just a neat connection.
Well, and that's so funny because we were talking before this and like how neither of us were trained in this into work in media. Like we were like, we just kind of loved to do it. And, I, growing up as a musician and stuff, and, I learned really quick that there's not a lot of money sometimes in being creative. Like it's a hard way to make a living.
That's a lie.
So like it was never a thought to me to like go to school for music or for film. And I have a lot of friends that went to school for film, or I like went to Full Sail University and spent $100,000 on a degree basically to run what I'm running right now with no training. And it's like, it's not necessary anymore. And if you want to be a DSP, you can totally do that. You can. There is no there's weird shame in this country about working specific lines of work, which it's like I don't understand because like you have to do. If you enjoy it and you can stay alive, then why you don't need a 400,000 square foot house or something ridiculous. Like you don't. It's not necessary.
It doesn't bring joy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
So it's just funny how all of that works out. Because did you ever think you'd be here?
No, never. A year ago, I would never have said that I would be here. Yeah, it's wild. Yeah. Like when I got into this field, it was a complete I needed a job. And I just randomly applied for something that I found online, and then I've been here. I've been in the field for the last 11 years now. It's just been wild.
So, I think a mindset that I've seen too outside of the field of the DD field is that something like what you're doing or what Tony and I are doing or any people that think outside the box in the DD field that aren't just I don't mean to say just, that aren't working like the standard job, like a DSP or a SSA or something, the county, like those are your typical jobs in this field. They always have this conception that there's just like no money in that field. Whereas you've taken two things that you've enjoyed. You've taken your passion for video and storytelling, and you've taken your passion for like just working with individuals with disabilities, and you've made that into a career.
Yeah.
So like, what advice do you have for people who are maybe thinking like, I'm just going to work here until I find something different? But like, how can they make this if they actually enjoy it? How could they make something of their own out of it? Like, like everyone in this room has.
Right. Yeah. Two, I would say like, find your passion and like chase after that. Like, and you know what it is typically, like that thing that you love to do. This field is so wide open that like whatever your passion is, I feel like there is a place for it. If you like to fish, I love to fish. There's a place where you literally could just fish in this field a lot. There is something for your passion in this field. Two, like, and I did this for a long time of like being okay in the discomfort of like the fake, what's the word that I'm thinking of? Like the safeness of a job. So like being okay with like letting go of that stability, because it's all unstable no matter what you look at it, to take that chance. Like I had a couple of weeks after, like I worked for the government and I quit that government job and I started my company in 2021. And I've got a wife and I got 3 little kids, and like for a week, I'd lay my kids down to bed and I'd be like, what did I just do to your future? Like, you guys, like, what did I do to you? But it is so worth it. Like when you find that thing that you love to do and you took that chance, it changed. Like my whole life is completely changed in a matter of like 6 months, really at this point. Like it has completely changed. And if I wouldn't have taken that risk, you'll never know what your life could be unless you take that risk. And so, that would be my advice, is just like follow the passion that you have. Find a place that you can actually do that passion within this field, and then just take the risk. Like, just what's the worst that can happen? Like I've had, and little things that have happened since I took that risk is like, one of my provider agencies, that's one of my customers, she says, as long as I'm the CEO here, you'll always have a job. Like if this thing tanks 2 years from now and you can't do anymore, you'll always have a job here. And like those things just reassure you that like, this is exactly what I'm supposed to be doing, and it's totally worth it. Like, go for it. Just go for it. Take that jump,
What Wayne Gretzky say, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
Right. That and Michael Scott from The Office, I think, also said that.
That's a good meme.
Michael Scott.
The meme awareness.
Right.
So, that is funny that you say that too, because something that I learned in school, and I went to school for cultural anthropology just because I thought it was so interesting. Like I just loved it. I never wanted to work in there. I just wanted to learn. And I went to school, and one of the things that I was writing this like undergrad thesis paper about working like labor in the U.S. It was very boring. But
I'm about to say, I'm about to sneeze already.
But the one thing I learned from that is one of my professors said, your job doesn't have to be who you are. Yes. And I was like, that redefined everything, because then I was like, well, I can work for the money and then do what I like on the side. Yeah. And it just happened to be the video and audio stuff happened to be what I really liked. And I was working in finance until 2 years ago. And before I got this job, I would never, ever, ever have seen myself running a podcast, doing video work full time, ever. I was filming stuff for YouTube, having fun. Happened to talk to Tony one day. I was like, hey, here's this video I made with my friend. He's fly fishing, and it's like a commercial for his shop. Like the first video gig I ever had. And he was like, I've been looking for somebody to do that. And we started doing the podcast in this very room 2+ years ago, right before the pandemic. And it was just like, I started part-time. I was just like, we would do it occasionally once in a while. We didn't put out an episode for like almost 6 months after we recorded it. And then here I am now. This is crazy. My full-time. It's just like, in the DD field, never would have, my wildest dreams would have assumed that this is where I'd end up.
It's amazing.
It's so wild.
Cool. So what we're telling you folks is you can accomplish your goals in this field.
I'll tell it was the first 2 weeks or something that I started my business. I was out in Butler County and I was shooting a video of a guy who works. He has a job And so the goal of that video was to talk about employing people with developmental disabilities. I'm not the target market for that video. And I'm interviewing him and I'm talking to him, and he is talking on this video about like, don't be shy, like don't wait in the shadows, like take that huge step. You'll never know if you fail or succeed. I'm like tearing up interviewing this guy. I'm like, you're talking directly to me. Like, and it's just the power of storytelling. Like you have no clue when you give someone that tool to like tell a story or you are able to tell your story, who that's going to impact in what way. Like his video about employment was exactly what I needed to hear in the moment of life that I was in. So yeah, it's cool.
Yeah, it's just the lessons you learn as well. You know, I've been in clients' houses and they're like, hey, you should come back and we'll watch movies and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure. Let's do that. But I think this will be a fun opportunity to play a little game here, Tony. What do you think?
Yes, I think so. So it's time for Rapid Fire. All right. Rapid Fire is a small game show we do on the show. And what I ask is a would you rather question in 3 different scenarios. Damn it, I still can't get it. Like, I cannot, like, properly say this for some reason. And I think now is because Paul looks at me just in anticipation of me screwing it up.
To be fair, this is like episode 85 or something. Like, you've had plenty of time to get this down. But enough about that.
Yeah, that's awesome. Screw all that. All right, John, would you rather live without the internet or live without heating and air conditioning?
Live without the internet, for sure.
Yeah,
yes. I have to have it cold to sleep. And if it's like 2 degrees, and my wife is she likes it warmer, and I like it freezing. So that's a very touchy subject. I will gladly go with no internet.
All right. Would you rather blindly touch something or blindly taste something?
Oh.
Yeah,
that's a tough one. Blindly touch something, because if you taste it, that's like in your mouth. At least I could like wash my hands or something. Yeah.
Okay, good logic. Good logic. Lastly, would you rather see with your eyes closed or hear with your ears closed?
I'll say hear with your ears closed, because then technically your ears are still open. Because you're still hearing.
See, I'm the opposite, because I have to cover my ears for my children. So if I'm covering, I don't want to hear
there's no
anything.
stopping it.
Funny story about ears and eyes. Yesterday, I was sleeping on the couch, and Tony's kids came running in. I was like, it was dead quiet, and I was sleeping on the couch, and they come running into the room, and I had a nightmare that kids were screaming, and I woke up and I was like, "It's reality!" It was the most terrifying thing I could ever have imagined.
That's awful.
So it was pretty bad. So, before we go, I want to wrap up here, and I want to give you an opportunity to let people know where they can learn more about your business, how they can get in touch with you, how they can, get you to come out and make some videos for them, because we all need more content in this field. I hate to say it, but I don't even hate to say it.
Right.
It needs to
Just
happen. We
reality.
need more stories out there. So let them have it.
Yeah, so you can find me silfiesmedia.com. You can email me at john@silfiesmedia.com. I'm on social media, on Facebook. You can find me. My page is on there. A lot of the things that are on there have some customer work as well, so you can see some of the videos that I'm putting out. Anytime that I'm out doing something, I try to put something out there. But easiest way is just through email. Just shoot me an email. I would love to. And I'm also just an open book. So like, if you call me, I'm not a person who's going to charge you for the time on the phone. Like if you just have questions about direction or what type of content should you be creating, like my passion and goal is to just really just uplift our entire industry in the state of Ohio and, at some point beyond. But so if that just means answering some questions for you, I want to be an open book and just help in any possible way that I can. So, yeah.
That's good. I think, kudos to you. And aside from that, as we said, the minute that you give things away for free, it comes back, and the amount of emotion and just how psyched you are about this, it's so damn uplifting because you get people who've been in it, including myself, and it feels like you're just hitting this brick wall
grind.
of no growth in the sense of like what is going on with the people that we're serving, with the community that we're into, and it just feels like you're stagnant. But having fresh, new innovative ideas, man, it's great.
Yeah.
I'm glad you got to come over, and hopefully you continue to have outstanding amounts of business and help others.
Oh, thank you so much. Thanks for having me on here too. Impromptu, and I'm glad it all worked out. So
Absolutely, anytime.